Hi again, welcome back. This is part 2, and in this part I'll make a PCB layout for this schematic. The last thing I did in the previous video was to make sure all the components had unique reference designators. You'll have to do that to go to PCB layout. And I'll continue now by adding a PCB to this project. I'll right click, add a new PCB. This brings up the PCB, and before I can synchronize the schematic with this PCB, I'll have to save the PCB file. And I'll also have to save the project that I'm working in, because I haven't saved this before. So I'm going to save this as somewhere in my project directory. So both of them are saved. Now I can synchronize them. I'll go up here on design and import the changes. This gives me a list of changes that has to be made to the PCB we see, and I'll execute those. I'll see that they all were successful, so I'll close this dialog, and now I'll move around just like you would in the schematic. Drag with the right mouse button to pan, drag with the middle mouse button to zoom in and out, and we see here we have a collection of components and this red rectangle, which is a room. And we see that this room has the name square wave circuit that corresponds to the schematic sheet named square wave circuit, and this should tell you that rooms are automatically generated for each schematic in your project. If you don't like this, maybe you just have one schematic in your project and then the room becomes a bit annoying maybe, then you can turn it off by going here to project options and turning off room generation for each of the schematics where you don't want the room for your components. But I don't care right now. I'll use the room just to move the components down here in the corner. It doesn't matter where really, but I'll now resize the room to something like the board size I want. And I'll have to resize the board because right now the entire black area here is the board size. And to do that, I go up here on design, board shape, redefine board shape, and I can start placing the corners of my board. I'll place one right here, and right now you see the edge mode is in 45-degree angle mode. So to toggle between different edge modes, or corner modes I should say, you use shift space. Just do that a couple of times and you'll get the 90-degree corner. I'll finish off this board shape like that, and when I'm done I can either press escape or right click, and my board shape is now reduced to the same area as this reddish room. So a few more things I want to do before handling components. I'll go up here and edit origin, and I'll set my origin somewhere smart, like a corner of your board, and I will also make sure that the number of layers I've set up is correct. So if you need more than 2 layers, which is the default, you'll go here on Layer Stack Manager. Here you can add layers as you wish, or planes, but I'm not gonna bother with that. I only need 1 layer for this design, and 2 is the actual minimum, so I'll leave it at 2 because that's the minimum Altium Designer allows to work with. So my board is set up. Now I want to make sure my design rules are set up. I go up here on design. I can either use the rule wizard or I can set the rules manually. I'm just gonna do the manual thing just to show the different rules, because the rule wizard is self-explanatory really. If you're really lazy, you'll only set the clearance here and the trace width, but I suggest that you look through all of these, check them with the specifications that your manufacturer gives you, and yeah, the illustrations for each of these rules should tell you how they work. So make sure that's set up correctly before you start doing anything. So because I've done this, I can now move components around, placing them in the arrangement that seems good for routing. And I've done this before for this layout, so I have a good idea of what it should look like. You just drag components to move them, use space while you're dragging to rotate, and I'll just finish this, making things look decent and neat. Okay, so this is a placement I'm happy with. I can now, I'll just save first, I can now start writing the board. So there are a few things you may want to know about this, and I'll just click to start a trace. Right now you see that the edge mode is a 90-degree angle, and to change that to a 45-degree angle you can go through the corner modes by pressing shift space a few times. That's the 45-degree angle, which I like, and you just place segments on the way. Now you'll see that by default you see these two segments here. One is gray and hatched, the other one is not, and that means that when I click to place now, only the gray and hatched segment will be placed. So if I click, you see that only this the first red segment was placed. I'll just undo by pressing backspace, and how this behaves can be changed by pressing the 1 key. I can choose between placing both or just the first segment. I like to place both of them because that means less clicking and less work. If you combine that with a decent routing mode, then you can get things done much quicker. So once you're done with the trace, you cancel by pressing the right mouse button or escape, and that lets you choose another connection to make. If you want to cancel that again, you can either press escape or right click, and that brings you back to selection mode. Okay. So what I was saying about routing modes was that pressing tab gives you a list of a collection of settings that you can specify. Maybe the most important one is the trace width, but you can also specify how Altium Designer behaves during routing. You can choose different modes here. I can recommend turning on push obstacles and turning on follow mouse trail, and also try strong routing gloss. You might like that, but you should try different things, see how they work. I'll just show how push obstacles and follow mouse trail work for this board. So I'll just continue placing some tracks here. Bear with me. So again, when I'm done with the track, press right click to finish it. Okay, and now you'll see the effect of the hug mode that lets you go very close to components, and this combined with the follow mouse trail mode lets you sneak around things and place a track very quickly instead of having to guide it all the way around somewhere. And the push mode allows the other tracks to be moved around like this, and that also speeds up things and helps you along. So I'll right click to cancel, and I've got my board routed now, and let's say I want to send this to a board house. They will probably accept Gerber files and drill files. They will require that to manufacture my board, and to create those I'll go up here on File, Fabrication Output. I'll choose Gerber files. Here I can specify my resolution, read the text here, it explains it, and I can choose the layers that I want to include. Because this is just a one layer board, I'm just gonna include the top layer copper, the top solder mask, and the top silk screen text. Not gonna bother with the paste mask, but you turn on what you want to include. So once you click OK, all the Gerbers are generated and they are shown in this cam viewer. That's just the Gerbers though. I want to make some drill files too, so I'm gonna go to my PCB again, go here on fabrication outputs and choose NC drill files. Again, read the text, set up these as you wish, or as in the way that your manufacturer requires. I'm gonna leave these on default, and we see that we get a view of the drill files that have been generated right here. I can overlay these holes onto the Gerbers just to check that they fit by going up here on the file, import, and drill. Note that this is the cam view, not the actual view of the PCB. This is a different document. So to import the drill files, I would navigate to the project directory and to the project outputs directory, and these are the drill files that you can select, and if you click OK, you get a report, which I don't need right now, and you'll see that let's see, cam testing. You'll see that the holes here are included, overlaid over the Gerber files, and they look the way they should be. So I can close these documents because the Gerbers and the drill files are not inside these files, and I'll just find the Gerbers for this project. They are located in the project outputs directory, and here I have these 3 files which are Gerbers. Depending on the number of layers you have, you will have more, and also the drill files, which are these 3 right here, and that should be enough to get you started. You should also read the documentation and check with your manufacturer when it comes to what they will accept when it comes to file formats for your Gerbers or your drill files and stuff like that. So there's no single way to do it. Okay, so I am finished with this tutorial. If you have comments, suggestions, stuff like that, put it in the comment box, and I hope this was helpful for someone. So thanks for watching.